Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving into an absolutely incredible true story. It's one that perfectly highlights just how easily we can misjudge the people we see every single day. We're going to be looking at a quiet, old-school janitor. You know, a guy who spent literally decades just blending into the background of a busy school. But as you'll see, he was hiding a massive, life-saving secret inside a locked office.
So let me ask you, have you ever ignored someone simply because of their job? Right? It's kind of an uncomfortable question, isn't it? But really think about it. What actually happens when the absolute quietest person in the room, the one everyone just walks right past, holds the biggest secret? Well, let's explore how one man's hidden identity ended up changing hundreds of lives.
Section 1. The Invisible Janitor. Our story centers around Mr. Samuel. Now, this is a man who quietly unlocked the gates of Green Valley School at 6 a.m. sharp every single morning for 30 years. And yet, he remained almost entirely invisible to the people inside it.
I mean, his daily routine consisted of totally mundane tasks: sweeping the classrooms, watering the plants, repairing broken desks, opening the doors early. Just the basics. And because this was all anyone saw him do, he was completely ignored by the students and the teachers. To them, he didn't even really have a name, honestly. He was just the old cleaner. They looked at this simple routine and completely assumed that was the entirety of his existence.
But then, a new student named Leo arrives at the school. Coming from a different city, Leo had a totally fresh pair of eyes. And he noticed something kind of strange about Mr. Samuel's routine that literally everyone else had missed. Every single morning, right before starting his cleaning duties, Mr. Samuel would go into the school library. He stayed in there for exactly 15 minutes, and then he'd quietly walk out carrying the exact same old notebook.
Well, Leo became completely obsessed with this mystery. After weeks of wondering what on earth a janitor could possibly be writing in a library every day, Leo finally confronted him. And when Mr. Samuel simply said he liked books, Leo actually laughed. He pointed out, "But you're just the janitor." Mr. Samuel just smiled and replied, "Books don't care what job you have." Wow. Those words immediately stuck with Leo, planting this first little seed of doubt about his own assumptions.
Moving on to Section 2, the trapped principal. You see, the predictable routine of Green Valley School was about to be totally shattered on what felt like a perfectly normal Friday afternoon.
Out of nowhere, a massive, sudden storm hit the town. Students and teachers, they all rushed home to beat the weather. But Principal Anderson was still inside his office. As this heavy rain really started coming down, the power grid failed. The lights went totally out. Then, the school security system crashed, which caused these heavy electronic doors to lock automatically. So Principal Anderson was trapped inside his dark office, completely alone, and get this, his phone battery was almost dead.
Meanwhile, outside, the storm is absolutely raging. It's flooding roads, snapping tree branches, the whole shebang. Mr. Samuel was just about to leave the building for the weekend when he noticed something unusual out of the corner of his eye. The principal's office light was still blinking on the security panel. So he walks over, knocks on the heavy door, and hears this weak voice calling for help. Without even hesitating, Mr. Samuel sprints for his old maintenance toolbox.
Now, you might expect a janitor to just, start smashing the door with a hammer or something. But no, that is absolutely not what happened. Mr. Samuel took out his tools and expertly examined this complex, completely fried electronic lock. He didn't use brute force at all. He used absolute precision. Within minutes, the electronic lock clicked, the door opened, and the totally shocked principal walked out safely. When the stunned principal asked how a cleaner knew how to bypass a complex security grid, Mr. Samuel just gave a little smile and said he understood electronics, quote, a little.
Which brings us to Section 3, the Hidden Engineer. So the next morning, the storm has passed, and a very grateful but super confused Principal Anderson invites Mr. Samuel into his office. He suddenly realizes that they have worked in the exact same building for 12 years, yet he knows absolutely nothing about the guy who just saved him.
The principal pushes gently, telling Mr. Samuel there absolutely has to be more to his story. After a really long silence, the janitor finally speaks up. And this is the moment where everything flips. He says, 35 years ago, I was an electrical engineer. Boom. The man they all called the old cleaner was actually a highly trained professional who understood exactly how those electronic doors were wired.
So the obvious question here is, why on earth was he pushing a broom? Well, the answer is heartbreakingly beautiful. Mr. Samuel explained that his wife had become seriously ill. He made the ultimate sacrifice for love, basically leaving his highly demanding engineering career to care for her full-time. They spent every last penny they had on her treatments, and when she tragically passed away, he was simply too old to restart his fast-paced tech profession. He needed work, so he humbly accepted the only job available to him, a school janitor.
Principal Anderson was completely floored. I mean, he remembered every single time people had ignored this man. Every passing joke made at his expense. He decided he had to act immediately. So during the Monday morning assembly, right in front of the entire school, the principal makes this massive surprise announcement. He calls Mr. Samuel onto the stage. The students are super confused, teachers are whispering, but the principal declared to the crowd that the man standing before them was not just their janitor. He was an engineer, a problem solver, and a man who sacrificed his own dreams for love.
At first, the room was just dead silent. You could literally feel the shock. But then, one student started clapping. Then another. And suddenly, hundreds of students stood up. The entire school erupted into this massive, minutes-long standing ovation. They weren't just clapping for the man who saved the principal. They were clapping out of deep, profound respect for a life beautifully lived, yet entirely misunderstood.
Okay, Section 4, The Secret Notebook. Remember Leo, the new student we talked about? Well, after that crazy assembly, he approached Mr. Samuel with tears in his eyes, feeling just deeply ashamed of how he had judged him earlier. Leo offered a really heartfelt apology, but Mr. Samuel, ever the wise figure, just placed a hand on his shoulder and said, "The best apology is changing how you treat people." It's such a powerful line. And the amazing thing is, the entire school actually did change. Students started greeting him every single morning. Teachers even invited the janitor to speak during career week. They even built him his very own special reading corner in the library. But Leo still had one lingering question. What on earth was inside that old notebook Mr. Samuel read for exactly 15 minutes every single morning? So one afternoon in the library, Mr. Samuel finally smiled at Leo, pointed to the notebook on the table, and said, "You can read it." Leo opened those pages, totally expecting to see complex engineering schematics, or a diary, or maybe even a novel. But there were no secrets, no treasure maps or blueprints, just a single sentence, repeated hundreds and hundreds of times across every single page. Treat every person with respect. You never know their story.
This brings us to Section 5, The Priceless Lesson. When Leo saw those pages, something finally clicked. He understood exactly what Mr. Samuel was doing every morning. You see, the notebook wasn't a tool for memorizing words. It was this daily ritual for ingraining deep core values. Mr. Samuel was actively reminding himself every single day to stay humble and kind regardless of how the world was treating him.
And years later, we really get to see the long-term impact of this lesson. Leo actually grew up to become a highly successful businessman. And because he never, ever forgot that old janitor, in every single corporate office he ever opened, he hung one small sign right near the entrance. It simply read, "Respect everyone." Mr. Samuel's legacy wasn't just contained in that school. It echoed through Leo's entire life and business. So the message here is crystal clear. When we judge someone by their job, or their clothes, or just their appearance, we are only looking at a superficial shell. We saw Mr. Samuel as a guy simply sweeping floors. But knowing the real story revealed an electrical engineer, a devoted husband, and a profoundly wise mentor. Respect costs us absolutely nothing to give, but as this story completely proves, its value is priceless.
I want to leave you with one final thought today. Have you ever judged someone before knowing their real story? Seriously, think about the people you pass by every single day. The barista, the delivery driver, the person cleaning your office building. Everyone carries an invisible history, a story of triumphs and sacrifices that you just cannot see. Next time you cross paths with someone quietly doing their job, remember Mr. Samuel, remember the hidden engineer, and ask yourself, what incredible story might they be waiting to tell?